Now I'm going to create the hands of the character. So I feel like the hands can be kind of tricky, but we're going to make it hopefully kind of simplified. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose all of these. Now here's the other thing too. When selecting this, it's best to go to your selection tool. Now you're not going to accidentally extrude or anything. Okay, so I can select these, and now if I go to the side, I can hit extrude and I can bring this down like that. And again, I'm going to bring it straight down. I don't care that it's straight down. I'm going to click on my move, and then I'm going to kind of get that in place. And if it moves the entire model, I may have to click off of it, go here, click back on it. There we go. And now I'm going to go to my move, and I'm going to bring this out here like this. Now, one thing I should say is that notice that I'm trying not to get the fingers, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale. I'm going to scale this kind of thinner like that. And then I can also scale it down like that, and that'll get it nice and straight. And now I can see here, I'm going to actually rotate this. So I'm going to rotate it like that. And I want to get the palm, okay? And I should also mention this is a kind of a cool trick, is I want to actually get it to only the middle finger and the ring finger. So I'm going to scale this thinner like that. And again, scale it like that. And I want to only go to those fingers. And you'll see why in a second here. Okay. Doing my best to get it aligned. And again, it looks kind of weird. I realize that, but that's okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to choose, I'm going to go to my select arrow. I'm going to choose this face and this face. Okay. And I want to look here. See that line coming down from the middle of the arm? I want to make sure that I select a face on either side of that line. I don't want to, I think a common mistake is that people select these two. And I can see that that's not in line. The center line isn't splitting those two. So I want to make sure that these two are selected here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my extrude and I'm going to pull that forward just a little bit like that. Okay. Then I can see that that's in extrusion. I'm going to skip these two. Then I'm going to click on these two back here. And I'm going to do an extrusion this way. So I'm going to pull out with a blue like that. And it looks like this kind of this weird club for a hand. But again, that's okay for now. And that's exactly what I want. I'm going to right click, go to vertex. I'm going to grab these points right here. And I'm going to move that in place best that I can and maybe scale it thinner like that. I'm going to grab these points as well down here, these three. I'm going to go ahead and scale that thinner like this and put those in place kind of the best that I can. Obviously, I can't see everything here. It's getting difficult to see on the side as well, but that's okay. Okay. And up here, I'm going to call this the top of the club. I'm going to grab these three. Again, if I go to my select, that's better. Now I can kind of push that down like this. There we go. And I can select these three, push that down, and bring that in like this. Okay, great. So now I can start to see that I'm getting something. And these on the kind of, I'm going to call it the corner of the club. I'm going to select that and then I'm going to scale that inward like that. Same with these. I'm going to select these two. I'm going to scale that inward like that. Okay, excellent. Now I have kind of this rounded, I'm going to call it a palm. And you might notice that it looks like on our other side, mirroring got screwed up. Okay, that is a very common thing that happens when we get to the fingers. So I feel like I'm just going to turn off my symmetry up here. So I'm going to set that back to off. And I'm going to eventually delete the other side and not care about the other side. And then we'll mirror it manually later. Okay. But let's take a look at this. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to look at this area here. And I'm just going to manually, I'm going to call it untangle this. So I'm just going to kind of select these and just kind of move them around like this and get kind of a nice grid going on. Okay, so now you can see that I have a nice area for these fingers. Okay, excellent. And that's why you can see that initially when I extrude it down, this is where the middle finger is going to be, the ring finger. Then I extrude it out this way for the index finger and extrude it out this way for the pinky. Okay. Now that we have all of those, I'm going to try to verify that they look as closely aligned as I can, kind of with these side views and the front view. Okay. Again, I know it's difficult. Notice I haven't talked about the thumb yet. That's okay. I'm going to come in here, right click. I'm going to select these two. Again, I should be in my select. I'm going to select these two. I'm going to hit extrude. And then I'm going to go like this. I'm going to click on offset. And then I'm going to hold down control. And I'm going to middle mouse drag and bring it in a little bit. Or I could type in like 0.04, a really small number. And then I could try to hit circleize. Okay. Then if I need to rotate this, I can kind of go like this, rotate it, and then maybe scale it down. So it's not like, I just kind of want to quote unquote untwist it. Okay. And obviously that's going to be kind of a start of one of the fingers. Then I'm going to do that same over here. So I'm going to go to my select. I'm going to click on extrude. I'm going to go to offset. And if I hold down control and click on this and drag, I'd have kind of like easier time making smaller adjustments. If I don't hold control, sometimes it scales too intense, but control or command, if you're on a Mac, you're gonna have a little bit more finer adjustments. Okay, then I can again hit circleize, and then I can click on this, and then I can kind of like again rotate it to kind of untwist it. And I want to make sure that I see every single polygon or every single face. Okay, if it's, you know, I don't want something like this happening where it's all screwy. I want to kind of quote unquote untangle it. I'm going to go to my select. I'm going to select these two, extrude, again offset just a little bit, circleize, select these two, extrude, bringing this down, and again circleize, rotate. Aha, there we go. Okay, now again, if I need to make any adjustments, I can. I just want to again make sure that every face is visible. Everything looks like it's clean. And now you can see that we're really setting ourselves up for success for these fingers. Okay. Now what I can do is I can select this finger, okay, the pinky, and I'm going to start with the pinky on purpose because that's going to be the hardest one to see. I mean, it's going to be harder to see if all of these are in the way. Okay. So now I'm going to go like this. I'm going to start with this view and I'm going to click extrude. I'm going to pull out with a blue and then I'm going to go ahead and move it to the end of this finger here. And I'm going to do my best to align it here and here. So I'm going to kind of push it over. And then I can kind of rotate this at the angle that that finger is. And then again, kind of look at it in this view, kind of see if I can kind of make sense of it. And I don't care about the bend right now in it. I just trying to get the starting and the ending point. I'm going to scale it, move it, and rotate it. Whatever I need, whatever I think is correct. There we go. That looks pretty good. Now I'll select the next one. I'll go to my select arrow. I'll select these two, hit extrude, pull that down, and then I'll stop, go to my move, and then I'll get this to be roughly in the right place. I can see that that's the purple finger. And I don't want it to be straight down. I feel like the finger would actually be kind of faced that way. I want to get it like that's more natural. Okay. And these fingers are a little fanned, or I want them to be a little fanned. So in other words, this one's going to be the most bent, then second most, and then they're almost going to go to straight. So now I'm going to go to this one. Pull that straight or down, and I can see this one's like maybe here. Okay, cool. And then I'll go to my select these. And again, because we circleized from the beginning, now we don't have to kind of like circleize later. And you can see that it would be kind of difficult to do that. Notice how I kind of have it fanned. And if I need to move all of it, I can kind of grab this. I kind of go like this. Maybe grab all of these and kind of move that. However you think it needs to be. Okay. Again, is it hard to see? Yeah, it is. But I feel like we can kind of make sense of it. Just do the best that we can. And then I look at it in perspective to see if it looks like it's making sense. Yeah, actually that's looking pretty good. Okay. And here's kind of a cool trick too. I can select these edges. So I'm just going to select these edges all the way around. And then I can go to average vertices. So that is under, let's see, where is it? It's under edit mesh. It's called average vertices, about halfway down. I'm going to hold down Control Shift and add that to my shelf. Now when I click on that, you can see that it kind of averaged them to kind of blend these other ones. So now it doesn't feel like a kind of that mechanical shelf there. Okay, that's pretty cool. Now I'm going to go ahead and kind of put in some edge loops. So for the knuckles, I'm just going to click on this. And then I'm just going to simply move that back just a little bit. And then I'm going to do one more. Move that straight back and down. Aha, there we go. You can see how that starts to feel like a pinky. Maybe I want to rotate this. Nice. Okay. Same with the next one. And don't forget, you can look at your own hand if you need a reference. Click on this. And again, move it straight back. Ah, nice. Okay, next one. Notice how I'm not really looking at the image. I feel like the image is getting really kind of covered. It's a little bit complicated. I just want kind of a slight bend to the fingers. I feel like the hand looks better when it's got a slight bend to it. It doesn't look as stiff. Sometimes if you're rigging the character, you might want straight fingers, but if you're just modeling it, I feel like sometimes having kind of more fanned fingers looks nicer. Okay. Okay, excellent. Again, notice the other hand isn't there. That's fine. Luckily we don't have to do this again. We'll have it, we're going to do a manual mirror on the other side. Okay, now for the thumb, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my insert edge loop, and I'm going to put an edge loop through kind of the middle of this section here. There we go. My select, right click, go to face. I'm going to select these two, holding down Shift. Again, I want to make sure that those two are the ones that I can see that line going down the center of the arm. I want to make sure that that's the two that I select. I'm going to click extrude, pull that straight out with a blue, and it looks pretty big. It looks kind of weird. I'm going to go ahead and scale with the center one. Scale that down. And now, if I look at this, I'm going to force that to be at the end of the thumb. Okay? And I can see here's the end of the thumb over here. And that's going to feel really stretched and awkward here. That's okay. I'm going to kind of rotate this. And that's probably the most stretched, awkward piece that we're going to have, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and kind of put in some edge loops to kind of, again, I'm going to say relieve some tension. And I might go into vertex mode and kind of manually move some of this around. Okay, excellent. And if I go in here, I'll go at another one. And maybe I'll try circleize on that. Aha, there we go. That looks good. And maybe I'll go to the end of this, select these two and circle eyes. Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. And maybe rotate. And when you're working on the thumb, especially, or the hand, sometimes when you make an adjustment, you'll be like, you'll look at it in 3D mode and be like, oh man, I didn't realize I screwed that up so bad. And you might have to kind of like go and, I'm going to call it untangle something. So it's, yeah, it is kind of tricky. It's kind of time consuming, but you just got to be careful. And again, I like to have this kind of this perspective mode available. But for what that was, for being the hand, I feel like that hopefully wasn't too bad. All right. Yeah, that looks great.